Have you ever asked yourself why, despite everything you do, true happiness still feels just out of reach? That quiet, nagging feeling that something is missing, even when life seems fine on the surface? It's a question that many avoid because the answer is uncomfortable. But facing it head on is the first step to unlocking a deeper, lasting joy that doesn't depend on fleeting moments or external achievements. The truth is, happiness is not a constant state. It's not something you catch and hold on to forever. This may sound harsh, but understanding this is what frees you from the impossible expectation of feeling good all the time. When you realize that happiness naturally comes and goes, like waves on the ocean, you stop chasing an illusion and start living fully in each moment. This means accepting that pain, sadness, and struggle are not enemies of happiness, but its companions. They shape who you are and deepen your capacity to appreciate the bright days. Imagine the relief of no longer feeling broken every time life gets hard. Imagine the power that comes with knowing that even on the darkest days, happiness can still exist beneath the surface, waiting to rise again. This is not about settling for less or giving up. It's about growing a resilience that welcomes all feelings and all experiences, rather than fearing or denying them. When you accept this, you begin to see life's challenges as essential parts of your journey rather than signs of failure or reasons to give up. You start to understand that happiness is a dynamic dance, not a fixed destination. This mindset shifts how you respond to adversity. Instead of being crushed by setbacks, you learn to bend and adapt like a tree in the wind. Your emotional world becomes richer and more vibrant because it includes the full range of human experience. The promise of this video is simple but profound. By the end, you will have the clarity and courage to face 7 harsh truths that most people avoid. These truths might shake your worldview, but they will also empower you to stop running from life and start embracing it with an open heart. You will learn why accepting these realities isn't a surrender. It's a revolution within yourself that leads to genuine happiness. This happiness won't fade when things go wrong or people disappoint you. It won't vanish when your plans change or when life feels uncertain. Instead, it will grow stronger because it's built on the solid foundation of truth. Staying with this message will challenge you. It will ask you to question long-held beliefs and let go of comforting illusions. But on the other side of that challenge is a freedom few experience. The freedom to live authentically, to find peace inside, and to create a happiness that lasts through all seasons of life. So take a deep breath and open yourself to what's coming. This is your chance to transform not just how you feel, but who you are. The journey starts now with one simple, powerful truth: happiness is not a constant state, and learning to live with that will change everything. If happiness isn't something constant, then who or what holds the key to it? The answer is not outside of you, it lives within. This idea can be unsettling because it strips away the comfort of blaming circumstances, people, or luck for your feelings. It asks you to look inward and take full responsibility for your own happiness. That might feel like a heavy burden at first, but it is also the most liberating truth you will ever accept. No longer are you a passenger waiting for the world to hand you joy. You become the driver of your own life, steering your emotions and choices toward the peace and fulfillment you desire. The moment you claim this power, your life begins to change. You stop waiting for others to smile at you, for your job to improve, or for the perfect moment to arrive. You realize that those things can enhance happiness, but they don't create it. True happiness is cultivated in how you see yourself, how you respond to challenges, and how you nurture your inner world every single day. This means that the excuses you've held on to, the idea that if only this happened, or if only that person treated you better, you'd be happy, lose their grip. It's not easy to let go of these beliefs because they have shielded you from discomfort. But clinging to them keeps you stuck in a cycle of disappointment and waiting. When you take responsibility, you reclaim control. You begin to choose thoughts, habits, and attitudes that feed your well-being instead of draining it. Science shows that people with an internal sense of control tend to have better mental health, lower stress, and greater life satisfaction. This is no coincidence. You are wired to thrive when you accept this truth and act on it. Embracing responsibility means looking at your life without blame and asking powerful questions. What can I change today? How can I react differently? What small step can I take to build my happiness from within? These questions ignite a fire inside, a fire fueled by self-awareness and courage. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to choose growth over comfort. This truth also frees you from the exhausting quest to please everyone else. When your happiness depends on others' approval or actions, you hand them your power. You become vulnerable to disappointment and pain. But when you root your joy in yourself, you build an unshakable foundation. This foundation is not fragile or fleeting. It is strong because it is built on your own choices, your own mindset, and your own willingness to nurture your inner world. Imagine waking up each morning knowing you have what it takes to create your happiness, no matter what the day throws at you. Imagine the peace of no longer feeling at the mercy of others' moods, opinions, or actions. That is the kind of freedom this truth brings. It asks for honesty and courage, but it also promises empowerment and peace. Your life will not be defined by circumstances, but by the strength of your response. And in that strength lies your happiness, not somewhere outside, but deeply within you, ready to be claimed right now. Taking responsibility for your happiness opens the door to a deeper, more challenging truth. You cannot control everything around you. This fact often feels like a harsh blow to the human spirit because control offers a sense of safety, predictability, and power. The need to control is wired into our brains, designed to protect us from harm. But the reality is that no matter how tightly you try to hold on, life will always slip through your fingers in unexpected ways. Accepting this truth does not mean giving up or resigning yourself to chaos. Instead, it means shifting your focus away from the impossible task of controlling the uncontrollable and moving toward what you can influence: your thoughts, your actions, and your mindset. When you fight against what you cannot change, you drain your energy and increase your suffering. Anxiety rises because the mind fixates on what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. You become trapped in a cycle of resistance, struggling against the current rather than flowing with the river of life. But when you let go of the illusion of total control, a new kind of power emerges. You gain clarity about where your true influence lies. You see that your peace doesn't depend on changing others or perfect conditions, but on how you respond internally. This is the heart of emotional freedom. It's the moment when you stop being a prisoner to external forces and start becoming the master of your own inner world. The relief that comes from this realization is profound. It quiets the mind and soothes the heart because you no longer have to carry the unbearable weight of controlling the uncontrollable. Instead, you can redirect that energy into strengthening your resilience and adapting with grace to whatever comes your way. This truth also invites you to embrace uncertainty as a natural part of life. Uncertainty isn't a threat but an opportunity, a space where creativity, growth, and new possibilities arise. When you accept that you cannot predict or command the future, you open yourself to living fully in the present moment. You stop postponing happiness until conditions feel right or safe. You begin to trust your ability to navigate change, no matter how unpredictable it seems. Imagine the peace in releasing the endless mental battle to fix every situation, control every outcome, and shield yourself from disappointment. Imagine how much lighter your spirit becomes when you accept life's fluidity and impermanence. This truth asks you to practice radical surrender, not as defeat, but as strength. It is the strength to say, I will do my best with what I can influence, and I will let go of what I cannot. This acceptance builds courage, resilience, and a profound inner calm that anchors you through storms. It transforms anxiety into presence and fear into trust. When you live by this truth, your happiness no longer depends on the shifting sands of external control, but rests firmly in the solid ground of acceptance and personal empowerment. This is not easy. It requires patience, discipline, and a willingness to face discomfort. But it is the path to a life where peace and joy are not fleeting but deeply rooted, no matter what happens outside. Here lies your power to choose how you respond, to embrace uncertainty with courage, and to find happiness within that no one can take away. Understanding that control is limited and surrendering to uncertainty sets the stage for confronting another unshakable truth: failure is inevitable. No matter how much you prepare, plan, or wish otherwise, you will stumble, fall short, and experience moments where things don't go as you hoped. This reality often ignites fear, shame, and resistance because society teaches us to avoid failure at all costs. But refusing to face failure only deepens your suffering and blocks your growth. The harsh truth is that failure is not the opposite of success. It is an essential part of it. Each failure carries within it the seeds of learning, strength, and transformation. When you accept this, You free yourself from the paralyzing fear that keeps you stuck in place. Failure becomes not a reflection of your worth, but a sign that you are trying, stretching, and moving forward. This mindset shift is powerful because it rewires how you experience setbacks. Instead of shrinking away, you begin to see failure as a necessary step on the path toward mastery and happiness. It teaches resilience, patience, and humility, qualities that no success alone can provide. When failure knocks you down, you discover the depth of your own courage and the strength you never knew you had. This discovery ignites a fire within that propels you to rise again and try with renewed wisdom and determination. The journey of accepting failure also dismantles the harmful perfectionism that poisons happiness. Perfection is a mirage that traps you in endless dissatisfaction. You chase it, hoping it will bring peace, but it only breeds anxiety and self-criticism. By embracing failure, you embrace imperfection as part of your humanity. This acceptance opens the door to self-compassion, which is the foundation for lasting happiness. Self-compassion softens the harsh inner voice and replaces it with understanding and encouragement. It reminds you that being imperfect is not a flaw, but a shared human experience. Accepting failure also liberates you from the need for constant approval. When you stop fearing mistakes, you stop fearing judgment. This frees you to take risks, express yourself authentically, and live boldly. Without this freedom, happiness remains elusive, tethered to external validation and the fragile illusion of flawlessness. Imagine the strength you gain when failure no longer terrifies you but becomes a guide. Imagine how much more alive you feel when fear of failure no longer controls your choices. You start taking action even when the outcome is uncertain, trusting that every attempt moves you closer to the life you want. This truth calls you to build a mindset that sees failure as feedback, not defeat. To develop resilience that turns setbacks into comebacks. To cultivate patience that understands growth is a process, not an event. The acceptance of failure is not comfortable, but it is liberating. It strips away excuses and self-limiting beliefs, revealing your true power to learn, adapt, and thrive. When you embody this truth, happiness becomes a result of your courage to keep going, not a reward for never falling. It transforms your relationship with yourself and with life, unlocking a joy that is fierce, real, and unbreakable. Facing failure means confronting another truth that cuts deeply. Not everyone will like you or approve of your choices. This reality can feel isolating because humans are wired to seek connection and acceptance. The craving for approval is natural, but when your happiness depends on it, you hand over control of your emotions to others. The harsh truth is that no matter how hard you try, you cannot please everyone. People's opinions are shaped by their own experiences, fears, and biases. You will inevitably encounter rejection, criticism, or indifference. Accepting this truth is liberating because it frees you from the exhausting pursuit of universal approval. It shifts your focus inward to your own values and self-worth. When you stop living for the applause of others, you begin to live authentically. This authenticity is the foundation of true happiness. It allows you to align your actions with your deepest beliefs, instead of molding yourself to fit others' expectations. The moment you embrace this truth, you gain emotional independence. You become resilient to judgment and criticism because you understand that others' opinions do not define your value. This frees you to take risks, speak your truth, and pursue your purpose without fear of rejection. Living authentically requires courage. It demands that you stand firm in who you are even when it feels uncomfortable or lonely. But this courage leads to a profound peace, a peace born from knowing you are enough just as you are. This acceptance also dissolves the need for comparison. When you seek approval, you often compare yourself to others, measuring your worth against their standards. Comparison breeds envy, insecurity, and dissatisfaction. But when your happiness is rooted in self-acceptance, comparison loses its power. You begin to appreciate your unique journey and strengths without the shadow of judgment. This truth also deepens your relationships. When you stop trying to be liked by everyone, you attract connections based on honesty and mutual respect. These authentic relationships nourish your soul and support your growth. The fear of rejection fades because you are no longer dependent on external validation for your happiness. Imagine the relief of no longer bending to fit into molds that don't serve you. Imagine the freedom in knowing that your happiness comes from within, untouched by others' opinions. This truth asks you to build self-trust and embrace vulnerability. It challenges you to say no to people-pleasing and yes to your own truth. It invites you to cultivate a deep, unwavering belief in your worth. Accepting that not everyone will like you is not about becoming indifferent to others, but about prioritizing your well-being over approval. It is about choosing to honor yourself, even when it means standing alone. This truth is difficult, but transformative. It breaks chains of dependency and creates space for genuine joy. When you live by this truth, your happiness is no longer fragile or conditional. It becomes a steady flame that burns bright, fueled by self-respect and authenticity. This is the power of accepting that you cannot please everyone, and that's exactly what makes true happiness possible. When you accept that not everyone will like you, you step into a space of radical self-acceptance, and with it comes a deeper, unsettling truth. You will have to let go of certain people and things that no longer serve your growth. Holding on to what is familiar or comfortable can feel safe, but it often keeps you trapped in patterns that limit your happiness. This truth is painful because it requires a willingness to say goodbye to friendships, relationships, habits, or even dreams that no longer align with who you are becoming. Letting go is not a sign of failure or weakness. It is an act of courage and self-respect. It is choosing yourself over comfort, growth over stagnation, and freedom over fear. The fear of loss is natural, but clinging to what drains your energy only prolongs your suffering. When you hold on tightly to what's familiar, you close the door on new possibilities and deeper fulfillment. By releasing what weighs you down, you create space for what truly matters. People, experiences, and values that nourish your soul and support your evolution. This truth asks you to become comfortable with discomfort. Letting go is rarely easy, and it often brings grief, doubt, and uncertainty. But these feelings are part of the transformation process. They signal that you are shedding old layers and stepping into a more authentic version of yourself. Instead of resisting these emotions, learn to sit with them, knowing they are temporary and necessary for growth. There is power in this process. Each release is a reclaiming of your energy and focus. Each boundary you set is a declaration that your well-being matters. Each goodbye is a step toward living a life aligned with your deepest truth. This truth also challenges the belief that you can fix or save others by holding on. Sometimes the healthiest choice is to step back and allow others their own journey, even if it means you walk separate paths. This does not mean you care less. It means you respect yourself enough to prioritize your own happiness and growth. Imagine the peace that comes from releasing toxic attachments, draining relationships, and outdated beliefs. Imagine the freedom in knowing you don't have to carry burdens that belong to others. This freedom invites you to live with intentionality, choosing what to keep and what to release with clarity and courage. Accepting this truth requires bravery because it goes against the natural instinct to cling. But bravery leads to liberation. It allows you to live without the chains of obligation, guilt, or fear that keep you trapped in unfulfilling situations. When you embrace this truth, you create a foundation for genuine happiness, one built on honesty, self-love, and freedom. This foundation supports you through life's inevitable changes and challenges. It reminds you that you are worthy of joy and peace, not because of what you hold on to, but because of your willingness to let go and grow. Letting go is not the end. It is the beginning of a new chapter filled with possibility, lightness, and alignment. This truth empowers you to choose yourself every day, to honor your journey, and to trust that what is meant for you will remain, while what no longer serves will gently fall away. In that choice lies your freedom and the path to true happiness. Letting go of what no longer serves you reveals another hard truth. Life is not always fair. This reality is one of the most difficult to accept because it confronts our natural desire for justice, balance, and control. We want to believe that if we do the right things, work hard, and treat others well, life will reward us accordingly. But the truth is, sometimes good people suffer, plans fail, and unfairness persists without explanation or apology. This can shake your faith in the world and yourself, leading to frustration, anger, or despair. Yet, accepting life's inherent unfairness is a profound act of courage that frees you from bitterness and victimhood. When you embrace this truth, you stop waiting for life to be perfect or just before you allow yourself to be happy. You stop blaming others or circumstances for your pain, and instead focus on what you can control, your attitude, your choices, and your response. Accepting unfairness doesn't mean resigning yourself to a life of hardship. It means recognizing that unfairness is a part of the human experience and choosing to rise above it. This choice is the source of true power and resilience. It shifts your mindset from helplessness to strength, from resentment to acceptance. This perspective empowers you to find meaning, joy, and peace even in difficult times. When you accept that life is not fair, you also let go of the illusion that your worth is tied to outcomes or external validation. Your value becomes intrinsic, independent of what happens to you or how others treat you. This shift liberates you from the exhausting cycle of comparison, envy, and self-judgment. It allows you to focus on cultivating inner peace and gratitude, no matter the circumstances. Imagine the relief of no longer carrying the burden of unfairness as a personal failure or injustice. Imagine the strength you gain when you stop resisting reality and start working with it. This truth invites you to cultivate patience, compassion, and perseverance. It calls on you to be gentle with yourself when life feels unjust and to keep moving forward regardless. Accepting unfairness also deepens your empathy for others. It softens judgment and increases understanding because you recognize that everyone faces their own struggles and injustices. This empathy strengthens your connections and nourishes your spirit. This truth demands a radical shift in perspective, a shift from expecting life to be fair to expecting life to be real with all its messiness and unpredictability. It challenges you to anchor your happiness not in conditions, but in your ability to adapt and find joy despite them. This shift is not easy. It requires letting go of resentment and embracing acceptance without giving up on growth or hope. It means acknowledging pain without allowing it to define you. When you live by this truth, you build an unbreakable foundation of resilience and peace. Your happiness becomes less fragile, no longer dependent on external fairness, but rooted deeply in your response to life's realities. This is the power of accepting life's unfairness, transforming what could break you into what makes you stronger, wiser, and more alive. Accepting that life is not always fair reveals another demanding truth. Happiness is a choice you must make daily, regardless of circumstances. This may sound simple, yet it is one of the most profound and challenging realities to embrace. Often we believe happiness depends on external factors, achievements, relationships, possessions, or circumstances aligning perfectly. We wait for the right moment to feel joy, hoping conditions will change or improve. But waiting for happiness to come from outside yourself leaves you at the mercy of a world you cannot control. The truth is, happiness begins within, as a conscious decision to see, feel, and create joy despite what life throws your way. This choice requires strength and discipline. It asks you to train your mind to focus on what uplifts and empowers rather than what drains or diminishes you. It demands that you recognize and release the habits of negativity, blame, resentment, fear, and self-doubt that steal your peace. Choosing happiness means refusing to let pain or disappointment define you. It means giving yourself permission to experience joy even in the midst of struggle. This is not about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It is about acknowledging hardship while intentionally cultivating gratitude, hope, and positivity. When you decide to be happy, you shift your perspective. You start noticing moments of beauty, kindness, and possibility that were there all along but went unseen beneath layers of worry or frustration. This shift rewires your brain to seek opportunity instead of obstacle, growth instead of stagnation. The daily choice to be happy builds resilience, an internal fortress that protects you from life's inevitable blows. It anchors you in calmness and clarity when chaos surrounds you. This truth also empowers you to take responsibility for your emotional state, rather than blaming others or circumstances. When you choose happiness, you reclaim your power to create a fulfilling life. This does not mean happiness is constant or that you will never feel pain. It means that happiness becomes the undercurrent beneath all experiences, a foundation you return to even when storms rage. Imagine the freedom in knowing that your happiness is not dictated by what happens to you, but by how you choose to respond. This truth invites you to practice self-awareness and mindfulness, noticing when you drift toward negativity and gently guiding yourself back to positivity. It challenges you to cultivate habits, gratitude, kindness, presence that reinforce this choice. Choosing happiness is a radical act of self-love and courage. It means refusing to be a victim of circumstance and instead becoming the creator of your inner world. This truth liberates you from the endless cycle of waiting and wishing, empowering you to live fully now. When you embody this truth, happiness becomes your default state, no longer a fleeting visitor but a constant companion. It transforms your relationship with yourself and the world, opening doors to deeper peace, joy, and fulfillment. This choice, made every day, moment by moment, is the greatest gift you can give yourself. It is the essence of living a happy life. Choosing happiness as a daily commitment reveals yet another profound truth. You cannot control everything, but you can control how you respond. This truth is both freeing and demanding because it strips away the illusion of control we often cling to for safety and certainty. Life is unpredictable, filled with twists, setbacks, and unexpected challenges. Trying to control every outcome only leads to frustration, anxiety, and exhaustion. Accepting that control is limited allows you to redirect your energy toward what truly matters: your attitude, your actions, and your mindset. The power of your response lies in its ability to shape your experience far more than the event itself. When you take responsibility for how you respond, you reclaim your power from external circumstances and internal chaos. This truth asks you to cultivate emotional resilience, the capacity to face difficulties without being overwhelmed. It invites you to practice mindfulness, observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment, creating space between stimulus and reaction. In this space lies choice. You can choose fear, courage, despair, or hope, anger, or calm. Choosing wisely becomes a muscle you strengthen with intention and awareness. This is not about suppressing emotions or pretending challenges don't affect you. It's about acknowledging your feelings fully, then deciding how to move forward constructively. This approach transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. It empowers you to learn, adapt, and thrive even in adverse conditions. Imagine the relief of releasing the burden of trying to control what's uncontrollable. Imagine the strength gained by mastering your inner world regardless of outer chaos. This truth also dismantles the harmful belief that your happiness depends on perfect conditions or other people's actions. Instead, it centers happiness as an internal state cultivated through conscious choice. This shift fuels confidence, reduces anxiety, and deepens peace. It teaches you to trust yourself to handle whatever life brings. Responding with awareness and intention builds integrity and self-respect because your actions align with your values rather than impulsive reactions or external pressures. It nurtures healthier relationships as you no longer react defensively but communicate with clarity and calm. This truth challenges you to embrace uncertainty and vulnerability as part of growth. It calls on you to surrender control without surrendering to helplessness. It encourages you to develop patience for the unfolding process of life, knowing that you can navigate challenges without losing yourself. When you live by this truth, you transform from a passive victim of circumstance into an active creator of your reality. Your happiness becomes less fragile, rooted not in avoiding difficulty, but in mastering your response to it. This mastery brings freedom, the freedom to live boldly, authentically, and with unwavering courage. It invites you to step fully into your power and claim the life you deserve. Accepting that you cannot control everything, but can control your response is not just wisdom. It is a profound source of liberation and transformation. It is the key to resilience, peace, and true happiness. Mastering your response to life's challenges reveals another essential truth. The past cannot be changed, but your future is shaped by the choices you make now. This reality is powerful and liberating because it stops the endless cycle of regret, blame, and what-if thinking that traps so many in misery. It is tempting to dwell on mistakes, failures, or painful experiences, believing they define who you are and limit what you can become. Yet, holding on to the past in this way steals your present and dims your future. The truth is that your history is a foundation, not a prison. You cannot rewrite what has already happened, but you can choose how you let it influence your life going forward. Accepting this truth means forgiving yourself and others, not to excuse wrongs, but to free your mind and heart from the weight of resentment and regret. Forgiveness clears the path for growth and healing, opening space for new possibilities and renewed hope. This truth demands courage because letting go of the past means confronting uncomfortable emotions and the temptation to stay stuck in familiar pain. But it also offers hope, reminding you that every moment holds the power to redirect your life's course. Your future is not determined by your past failures or hardships, but by your willingness to act with intention and hope today. When you embrace this truth, you reclaim your agency. You become the author of your story, choosing your next steps with awareness and purpose rather than being controlled by old wounds or limiting beliefs. This shift in mindset ignites transformation. It moves you from victimhood into empowerment, from sorrow into possibility. Imagine the relief of no longer carrying the heavy burden of past mistakes or regrets. Imagine the freedom to envision a future shaped by your dreams and actions rather than your history. This truth also fosters resilience because it encourages you to see setbacks as lessons rather than defeats. It teaches that growth is nonlinear and that progress comes through persistence, patience, and self-compassion. Choosing to focus on your future empowers you to build habits and mindsets that support your well-being and happiness every day. It calls on you to set clear intentions and take consistent steps toward your goals, knowing that small actions compound over time into profound change. Accepting that you cannot change the past, but can shape your future also deepens your presence. It invites you to live fully in the moment, knowing that this is where your power lies. The past exists only in memory, and the future only in possibility. Your true life unfolds now in this breath, this choice. When you live by this truth, you stop giving your power away to regrets or fears. You focus on what is within your control and create a life of meaning, purpose, and joy. This truth is a call to action, a reminder that every day is a chance to begin again. It empowers you to move forward with hope and courage, trusting that your best life is still ahead. Embracing this truth is not just wise, it is transformative, freeing, and essential to living a truly happy life. Understanding that your future is shaped by the choices you make now brings to light another fundamental truth. You are responsible for your own happiness. This truth can feel overwhelming at first because it asks you to step fully into your power and acknowledge that no one else is in charge of how you feel. It challenges the common tendency to blame circumstances, other people, or life itself for your unhappiness. While external factors influence your experience, the ultimate responsibility for your emotional state rests with you. Accepting this truth means shifting from a mindset of passivity to one of active ownership. It requires honesty, courage, and self-awareness. When you claim responsibility for your happiness, you reclaim control over your life. This doesn't mean you must always be happy or deny difficult emotions. Rather, it means you choose how to navigate your emotional landscape, refusing to let negativity dominate or define you. This truth empowers you to make decisions aligned with your well-being, set boundaries that protect your peace, and cultivate habits that nourish your soul. It calls you to prioritize your needs and values without guilt or apology. Taking responsibility for your happiness also means understanding that waiting for external validation or approval will never bring lasting fulfillment. True happiness arises from within, rooted in self-love, acceptance, and a mindset committed to growth and gratitude. This realization breaks the cycle of dependency on others to make you happy, which often leads to disappointment and frustration. Imagine the liberation that comes from knowing you hold the key to your joy. No longer trapped by external circumstances or others' actions, you can build a life based on your own terms. This truth fosters resilience because it prepares you to face challenges without losing your center. When setbacks occur, you don't surrender your happiness to despair. Instead, you draw on your inner strength and perspective to move forward. It cultivates empowerment by teaching you that your emotional well-being is a priority, not a luxury. This shift encourages self-care, mindfulness, and intentional living. It inspires you to seek joy in everyday moments and appreciate the simple gifts life offers. Taking responsibility also deepens your relationships as you stop expecting others to fill voids or fix your unhappiness. Instead, you approach connections from a place of wholeness and generosity, enriching both your life and theirs. This truth is transformative because it moves you from feeling like a victim of circumstances to becoming the creator of your experience. It demands a radical commitment to self-awareness and growth, challenging you to confront uncomfortable truths about your patterns and choices. But within this challenge lies immense freedom. the freedom to shape your life and happiness on your own terms. Embracing responsibility for your happiness is not a burden. It is a powerful declaration that your life matters and that you have the strength to create the joy you seek. This truth is the foundation of lasting fulfillment and a key stepping stone on the path to living a genuinely happy life. Taking full responsibility for your own happiness inevitably brings you face to face with a difficult truth. Not everyone will support your growth or celebrate your success. This reality can sting deeply because on a fundamental level, we all crave acceptance and approval from others. We want to feel seen, valued, and encouraged by those around us. But the path to a truly happy and fulfilled life often requires choices that don't align with everyone's expectations or desires. Accepting this truth means preparing yourself to stand strong even when you face criticism, jealousy, or indifference. It means recognizing that other people's opinions, while sometimes useful for reflection, do not define your worth or dictate your destiny. This truth challenges you to develop inner conviction, a deep knowing that your journey is yours alone and does not require universal approval. You must become your own greatest supporter and fiercest advocate. When you fully embrace this, you free yourself from the exhausting burden of trying to please everyone or avoid conflict at the cost of your own happiness. This truth demands courage because it requires you to face loneliness, rejection, or misunderstanding with grace and resilience. It asks you to hold your vision and values tightly, even when they are unpopular or misunderstood. This can feel isolating, but it is also deeply empowering. It pushes you to cultivate a sense of belonging within yourself rather than outside approval. Imagine the strength that comes from no longer being controlled by the fear of judgment or the need for validation. This freedom allows you to focus all your energy on living authentically and pursuing what truly matters to you. Accepting that not everyone will support you also deepens your empathy and compassion. You begin to understand that others' reactions often stem from their own fears, insecurities, or limitations, rather than any reflection of your worth. This realization softens the sting of rejection and reinforces your commitment to rise above negativity. It invites you to build a circle of genuine support, people who encourage your growth and celebrate your progress, while releasing toxic relationships that drain your energy. This truth also strengthens your perseverance. Knowing that resistance or opposition is inevitable empowers you to stay the course despite setbacks. It fuels determination and grit, vital qualities for transforming dreams into reality. By accepting this, you shift from seeking external approval to cultivating internal validation. You begin to measure success by your own standards, defined by personal growth, integrity, and fulfillment, rather than applause or acceptance. This truth transforms your relationship with yourself and the world. It liberates you from the trap of dependency on others' opinions and creates space for true confidence and self-respect to flourish. It reminds you that your happiness is your responsibility, not a collective project. Embracing that not everyone will support your journey is a powerful act of self-love and courage. It is an essential step toward living a happy life on your own terms, free from the chains of approval-seeking and fear. This truth empowers you to rise, shine, and thrive, regardless of who applauds or resists. Standing strong in the face of opposition reveals a vital truth that few dare to accept. You will fail, and failure is not only inevitable, but necessary. This truth shakes the very foundation of our comfort zones, because failure feels painful, shameful, and frightening. We grow up taught to avoid failure at all costs, to hide our mistakes, and to equate failure with worthlessness. Yet, denying failure only delays growth and keeps you trapped in a cycle of fear and inaction. Accepting failure as a natural and essential part of life frees you from the paralysis of perfectionism and fear of judgment. It allows you to see failure not as a dead end, but as a stepping stone on the path to success and happiness. Failure is the raw material from which wisdom, resilience, and strength are forged. It reveals what doesn't work, exposes hidden weaknesses, and challenges you to adapt and improve. This truth demands you shift your relationship with failure from avoidance and fear to curiosity and courage. When you embrace failure as feedback rather than defeat, you unlock new levels of creativity and innovation. You give yourself permission to try, to risk, and to grow. Imagine the power of knowing that every failure is a necessary part of your journey, a sign that you are moving forward rather than standing still. This acceptance transforms failure from an enemy into an ally. It builds emotional resilience, helping you bounce back quicker and stronger from setbacks. It cultivates humility, reminding you that growth is a process, not a destination. Accepting failure also fosters self-compassion. Instead of beating yourself up for mistakes, you learn to treat yourself with kindness and patience, recognizing that imperfection is human and growth requires time. This mindset opens the door to continuous learning and improvement. It encourages you to seek challenges, take risks, and step beyond your comfort zone regularly. When failure is no longer feared, it ceases to control your choices. You become more willing to pursue your dreams boldly, knowing that stumbling along the way is part of the process. This truth also deepens your understanding of success. Real success is not the absence of failure, but the persistence to rise after falling. It is the courage to keep moving forward despite uncertainty and setbacks. It is the commitment to your vision and values, regardless of temporary defeats. Embracing failure teaches you that your worth is not tied to your achievements or perfection, but to your courage, effort, and authenticity. This truth liberates you from the tyranny of comparison and external validation. It empowers you to define success on your own terms, embracing growth over perfection, progress over praise. Accepting failure as necessary is an act of radical courage. It is the foundation of resilience and the catalyst for transformation. It invites you to take bold action, knowing that failure will not break you, but build you. This truth holds the key to unlocking your potential and living a truly happy, fulfilled life. To accept failure is to accept yourself, flaws, setbacks, and all, as worthy, capable, and unstoppable. Acknowledging the inevitability and value of failure naturally leads to a deeper truth you must accept. You cannot control everything. This realization is both unsettling and freeing because it confronts a basic human desire for certainty and control. We crave predictability in our lives, believing that if we just plan hard enough, work smart enough, or control the right variables, we can avoid chaos, pain, and disappointment. Yet, life's complexity and unpredictability mean this is an illusion. Clinging to control only breeds anxiety, frustration, and a constant battle against reality. True freedom comes when you embrace uncertainty and release the need to micromanage every outcome. Accepting that control is limited means surrendering, not giving up, but choosing to focus your energy on what is within your power, your thoughts, choices, and actions. This shift in perspective transforms how you approach challenges. Instead of resisting change or fearing the unknown, you become adaptable and resilient. You learn to flow with life's unpredictability rather than fight against it. This truth fosters emotional peace because it teaches acceptance. Acceptance does not mean complacency or resignation. It means acknowledging reality as it is, without denial or avoidance. This honesty grounds you and conserves your mental and emotional energy. It frees you to respond effectively instead of reacting out of fear or frustration. Imagine the relief of no longer wasting energy on controlling the uncontrollable, letting go of the need to predict every twist and turn, and instead embracing the journey with openness and curiosity. Accepting this truth encourages flexibility and creativity. When you stop trying to rigidly control outcomes, you open yourself to new possibilities and solutions you might never have seen otherwise. It strengthens your problem-solving skills and deepens your confidence in facing uncertainty. This mindset also nurtures patience and humility. You come to understand that some things unfold in their own time and way beyond your influence. This acceptance tempers impatience and the illusion of entitlement. You learn to trust the process even when the results are unclear. Accepting limited control deepens your self-awareness. It challenges you to focus inward on your mindset, values, and emotional responses, since these are the areas where you truly hold power. It invites you to cultivate habits and attitudes that support well-being regardless of external circumstances. This truth teaches a vital lesson. Control is not about forcing outcomes, but about managing your relationship with what happens. It calls for emotional regulation, mindfulness, and intentional action. Embracing this truth is an act of courage because surrendering control feels like vulnerability. Yet it is through this vulnerability that you discover strength. You become anchored in yourself rather than external events. This truth liberates you from fear of the unknown and empowers you to move forward with trust and resilience. Accepting that you cannot control everything is a cornerstone of lasting happiness. It frees you to live fully in the present, adapt with grace, and find peace amidst life's inevitable uncertainties. This acceptance is not defeat. It is empowerment, clarity, and freedom. Understanding that control is limited reveals an even more challenging truth. Your past will always influence you, but it does not have to define you. This truth cuts deep because so many of us carry heavy burdens from past mistakes, regrets, and painful experiences. It's tempting to believe that who you once were, your failures, your wounds, your history, dictates who you are now and who you can become. But holding on to this belief traps you in a cycle of self-limitation and suffering. Accepting that your past shapes you but does not imprison you is a profound act of liberation. It allows you to honor your experiences without being enslaved by them. This truth demands that you face your history honestly, without denial or self-pity. You must acknowledge the impact of past events while refusing to let them dictate your identity or your future. This balance between awareness and release is where true transformation begins. Imagine the power of recognizing that the weight you carry need not anchor you forever. You can carry the lessons, release the pain, and step forward into a life defined by your choices today, not your wounds yesterday. This truth fosters self-compassion. Instead of harsh judgment for your past, you begin to see yourself as a complex human being who has endured, survived, and grown. This gentleness opens the door to healing and growth, breaking the cycle of shame and regret. Accepting your past's influence without allowing it to define you also deepens your resilience. It strengthens your ability to face life's challenges with a grounded sense of self, one that has been tested but refuses to be broken. This acceptance encourages responsibility and empowerment. You recognize that while you cannot change what happened, you hold full power over how you respond moving forward. This mindset shifts the narrative from victimhood to agency. It invites you to rewrite your story starting now, with intention and courage. This truth also dissolves the illusion of permanence around your identity. You are not a fixed being stuck in a single version of yourself. You are fluid, evolving, capable of profound change at any moment. Embracing this liberates you from the chains of the past and ignites hope for the future. Accepting your past's role without surrendering to it fosters a healthy relationship with time, recognizing that life is a continuum where yesterday's experiences inform but do not imprison today's potential. This truth calls for mindfulness and presence. It challenges you to live fully in the moment, appreciating the freedom that comes from not being a prisoner of your history. Accepting this truth is not easy. It requires bravery to confront pain, honesty to face flaws, and commitment to ongoing growth. But within this challenge lies the path to deep inner peace and happiness. It frees you to embrace your whole self, the light and the shadows, and to move forward with grace and strength. To accept that your past influences but does not define you is to claim your power and open the door to a life of authenticity, resilience, and joy. Building on the freedom that comes from understanding your past shapes but does not define you, there is another harsh truth demanding acceptance. You are responsible for your own happiness. This truth challenges the common belief that happiness depends on others, circumstances, or external achievements. It is tempting to place your joy in the hands of people, situations, or future events, believing that if only things were different, you would finally feel content. But this mindset hands away your power and keeps you trapped in a cycle of waiting and disappointment. True happiness cannot be outsourced or postponed. It must be cultivated from within, rooted deeply in your choices, mindset, and daily actions. Accepting responsibility for your happiness means no longer blaming others or circumstances for how you feel. It means recognizing that while external events influence your emotions, they do not have the final say. You hold the power to choose your response, to shift your perspective, and to nurture your well-being regardless of what is happening around you. This truth calls for radical honesty with yourself about where you have given away your power. It demands reflection on how often you rely on external validation, comparison, or conditions to feel worthy or joyful. Letting go of these crutches is difficult but necessary for genuine freedom. Imagine the immense relief of no longer depending on others or outcomes for your happiness. This liberation is empowering because it places you in the driver's seat of your emotional life. Accepting this responsibility requires commitment and consistent practice. It invites you to develop habits that nourish your mind, body, and spirit, such as gratitude, mindfulness, self-care, and purposeful action. It pushes you to challenge negative thought patterns and to reframe difficulties as opportunities for growth. Embracing this truth deepens your resilience because your happiness becomes less vulnerable to life's ups and downs. When you realize that happiness is an inside job, you become less reactive and more proactive in creating your emotional state. This awareness fosters emotional maturity, teaching you to observe your feelings without being controlled by them. Accepting that you are responsible for your own happiness also encourages self-compassion. You learn to treat yourself with kindness and patience, understanding that the journey to joy is ongoing and imperfect. This mindset frees you from the exhausting chase of perfection and external approval. It empowers you to define what happiness truly means for you, beyond societal expectations or superficial measures. This truth demands courage because it means facing uncomfortable emotions, owning your choices, and breaking free from victim mentality. Yet within this courage lies immense strength and transformation. Accepting responsibility for your happiness is the foundation for lasting fulfillment. It transforms life from a waiting game into an active creation. It invites you to embrace your power, cultivate joy daily, and live authentically. To claim responsibility for your own happiness is to choose freedom, resilience, and a deeply meaningful life. When you fully embrace that your happiness depends on your own choices and mindset, a profound realization emerges. Not everyone will like you, and that is perfectly okay. This truth often clashes with a deep human desire for acceptance and approval. It is natural to want to be liked, to feel included, to avoid rejection. Yet, trying to please everyone is a trap that steals your authenticity, drains your energy, and leads to a constant state of anxiety and dissatisfaction. Accepting that not everyone will like you frees you from the exhausting cycle of seeking validation from others. It allows you to focus on living in alignment with your values, passions, and truth, rather than molding yourself to fit others' expectations. This truth demands courage because rejection and disapproval can feel painful and threatening. But the alternative, living for others' approval, erodes your sense of self and undermines your potential for genuine happiness. Imagine the relief of no longer carrying the burden of universal approval. This relief is liberating because it opens the space for you to be unapologetically yourself. Accepting that not everyone will like you means embracing your uniqueness, your strengths, and even your flaws. It means recognizing that authenticity resonates deeply with some, even if it alienates others. This truth also teaches a vital lesson about boundaries. When you stop trying to please everyone, you begin to establish clear limits around what you will accept in your life and how you allow others to treat you. This boundary setting is essential for emotional well-being and healthy relationships. It empowers you to protect your energy and maintain your integrity. Accepting this truth strengthens resilience by helping you to handle criticism and rejection with grace. Instead of internalizing negativity or spiraling into self-doubt, you learn to see disapproval as a reflection of others' perspectives, not your worth. This shift reduces fear and builds confidence. It encourages you to prioritize your inner compass over external noise. Embracing this truth deepens your self-awareness. You become more attuned to who you truly are and what truly matters to you. You learn to celebrate your individuality and trust that the right people will appreciate you for it. Accepting that not everyone will like you challenges you to find belonging and validation within yourself rather than outside. This internal source of acceptance is far more stable and empowering than any external approval. This truth also invites freedom, the freedom to speak your truth, pursue your passions, and live boldly without apology. It removes the weight of constant performance and fear of judgment. Accepting that not everyone will like you is not about becoming indifferent or uncaring. It's about honoring your worth and choosing self-respect over approval. It's about understanding that rejection is a natural part of life, not a reflection of failure. To accept this truth is to reclaim your power, cultivate genuine confidence, and step into a life of authenticity and peace. It is a key step toward lasting happiness because it liberates you from the chains of people-pleasing and invites you to live fully, freely, and courageously as your true self.